Hello and welcome to Point of View. Here is an explosive update on the next move on the US-China chessboard. The United States is exploring a potential Space Force hotline with China. Yes, you heard it right. Now let's take a look at what is really happening behind closed doors. It all started with news and media company Reuters asking Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson a question regarding US Space Force internal discussions over hotline with China at a press conference on September 26, 2023. The reporter also asked if the Chinese Foreign Ministry has any comment on this and would China be open to this hotline. In response, Wang Wenbin said, "On that question, I'd like to refer you to the competent authorities." It has been reported that the United States Space Force has had internal discussions about setting up a hotline with China to prevent crises in space. According to reports, U.S. Commander General Chance Saltzman told Reuters said a direct line of communication between the Space Force and its Chinese counterpart would be valuable in de-escalating tensions, but that the U.S. had not yet engaged with China to establish one. The stated objective of the U.S. planning to establish a hotline with China is to prevent space disasters. Reports say that the potential de-escalation and tensions would help mean communications between the two sides and their space agencies. The development comes at a time when the U.S. Space Force is aiming to open a branch in Japan. So far, U.S.-China relations have been strained and frosty over a range of issues, like the military confrontation in the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. Will China agree on the Space Force hotline? That's a big question. And just how will the hotline stabilize US-China relations? It seems the United States Space Forces is planning to avert confrontation with China. Reports say that the US plans to establish a hotline with China to prevent space disasters. Officials say that the move would help de-escalate tensions and benefit a direct line of communication between the two nations. However, the US has still not engaged with China to discuss setting up the hotline. Experts say that a hotline could facilitate closer cooperations between the two economic and military superpowers now and in the future. That said, US Space Force has been actively looking to expand its global footprint. Recently, the US held talks with top Japanese defense officials in Tokyo and confirmed that the Space Force was exploring the potential establishment of a local headquarters in Japan. He did not elaborate on the location or the purpose it would serve, but did say it could look similar to a branch established in South Korea in November last year. Japan has been especially concerned about Taiwan and any lessons China may have drawn from Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine started a year ago. China, which views democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory, has not ruled out the use of force to bring the island under Beijing's control. The US says that more communication with Japan would deter China and counter gray zone activities like jamming the signals of satellites. US Commander General Chance Saltzman says that we have to be able to have those indications and warnings and see what they're doing and call them on their intent. He said the US was just being vigilant so it does not fall prey to gray zone activities. Why did the US specifically choose to open a branch in Japan, you may ask? You see, Japan is concerned about China's growing military might in the Indo-Pacific, and the Ukraine war has brought attention to the value of space assets in conflict. The US officials say America will be able to provide Japan with protection against potential Chinese attacks, and the Space Forces branch will be a valuable space asset for the country. But what about the US-China hotline? What are the odds of the two rival nations reaching an agreement? The US-China relationship has been deteriorating over the past few years over several fronts. From military confrontations in the South China Sea to earlier reports of China spying on the US through Cuba and the ongoing trade war, it is difficult to predict how the hotline deal would turn out, if at all it can be achieved. When it comes to the current space battle, reports say that China has pledged to launch thousands of satellites to compete with a fleet of SpaceX of nearly 3,500. China has even claimed that it will disable or even destroy Elon Musk's satellites if the nation-state deems them a threat to national security. It may be worth noting that the US Space Force, which was founded in 2019, also does not have a direct line of communication with its Russian counterpart. Would mending US-China relations make the space domain safer? When will US hold the hotline talks with China? Only time will tell. We hope countries, the world's two most powerful nations, can overcome their geopolitical differences on Earth to cooperate in space as a united human force. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.